All right, I'm going live. Hey, everyone, good morning. This is Shelly Frody coming to you this morning from City to Shore Real Estate, and just super excited about our guest this morning. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have going on. We just got finished with a live event this last week for the Discovery Day, and our next one is going to be on March 27th, and it will be in Kalamazoo, Michigan. More information on that to come soon. Also, just want to introduce to you, we have Nick Krautter. Hey, Nick, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Nice. Nick is an author. He wrote the book, The Golden Handoff. And I was just chatting with him and found out some other cool things about you as well. He lives out in Portland, Oregon. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, Nick.
Sure. So, I wrote the book, The Golden Handoff, came out about 3 years ago, and it's been really exciting to see that grow and people really embracing the idea of a simple process for helping people retire and to grow your business exponentially by referral. It's been a huge gift for my team to be able to help people in our market. Yeah. And it's really exciting to see that spread all over the world and get feedback from people. So keep sending emails and asking questions. I really love helping out. Awesome. And I've been doing real estate in Portland for just a little over 13 years. I am a leader of a team of 8, and we are kind of unique in that we have our own, everything's in-house. So we basically have a commercial broker, a land broker, listing broker for residential, and then 2 buyer brokers for residential. So we help folks with their business property, with their investment property, and then with their personal property.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Lola Audu, who many of you know, got connected with Nick, and I believe she connected with you at the National Convention.
Yeah.
And you were speaking there. You were one of the speakers with talking about your book. And so Lola came back and she was telling me all about you. And we're like, we need to bring this guy in. So Next Advance is going to be bringing Nick here later in the summer to an event talking about his book. But today we just wanted to chat a little bit, get people a little bit familiar with you.
Yeah.
What it's about. And, kind of whet their appetite for what's coming when you come visit us here.
Great.
Later in the summer. So, Nick, why don't you tell me a little bit about what prompted you to write the book, The Golden Handoff?
So when I started in 2006, and as everyone knows, 2007 through 12, the market was going down all over the country. And in Portland, it was a little bit later. We didn't really start to see declines until 2007 and 8, and Portland's a small city and they don't grow that rapidly. It's harder to get permits to build. So in boom times, it slows us down, but then when there's a recession, it usually protects us a little bit. But we got pulled in just like everyone else. Our market dropped about 32% from the peak. And what started happening is at first, the people that were getting out of the business in our office were the new agents and people that weren't like full-timers, people that were kind of part-timing it. But by 2012, there was a lot of really good agents that were starting to leave the business, either to take other careers or to move to other places because their spouse got a job or got relocated for work. And so I started talking to brokers in my office, and most notably in the book, there's a character named Renee, and that's a real person. And Renee had the office literally next door to mine, and we were good friends. And when she went back to nonprofit fundraising, which is what she had done before, I hired her assistant for a couple of years. She worked for me, and actually she ended up moving and working with her family now in Florida. They have a real estate team down there, and she ended up relocating back. And so Renee, I talked to her. I said, hey, you've got this great business. She was doing about $8 million a year in sales, and I said, I'd love to help your clients. Like, what's your plan? These people are going to keep calling you. They're going to have questions. And so she hired a new broker in the office who was kind of struggling, and it just didn't work out. He didn't call people. He wasn't setting appointments. And when he did set an appointment, he would ask her to come along because he wasn't confident to do a good job because he didn't have enough experience. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see where this goes. So after 6 months, she said, hey, you know what? I should have hired you. Do you think it's too late? And I said, well, the good news is 95% of your people haven't cared about real estate because they haven't moved yet. And that's true for all of us. You know, we do our best to stay in touch, but most people go, oh, I've got this realtor, and they send me their newsletter and they call me every once in a while, but I'm fine. I like my house. People move about every 10 years. So we jumped in together, and I said, okay, let's work out an agreement of how we're going to deal with this financially. And that's talked about in the book about the contract. It's basically a referral agreement for everyone that person knows. And it's a 3-year contract, and it kind of steps down. I explain all of it in the book, and the logic behind that and why that works well for both people. And then we started putting together how we're going to do an announcement letter. We're going to do an announcement email. And actually, if you go to the goldenhandoff.com and sign up for our newsletter there, I can keep you updated on events and changes and ideas that I'll be publishing in the future. But also you get access to those exact contracts, exact scripts, the letters and marketing pieces where you can change and put your logo and name on it and make it work for you. So you can use as much or as little as you want, but at least gives you a starting point. Yeah. And so we built all that for Renee, and we implemented it, and it was a huge success. It honestly went a lot better than I thought. And so word got out in our brokerage that I was helping people who were getting out of the business, and they were getting paid, and substantial. Which is
always a great thing if you're getting out of the business to get paid.
Yeah, I think for Renee, for a couple of years, it was a couple, $2,000 or $3,000 a month on average in referral fees. Sweet. And she told me, it had been kind of a private thing, but she had told me years later, at that time, her husband had lost his job. And so they were having trouble with one salary making ends meet. And that extra $3,000 a month basically paid their mortgage and their taxes and insurance. And it allowed them to stay in their home and not have to move or get into a rental.
Wow.
Which if they hadn't had that, that might have been the case. And so I felt even better about it because it was very tangible then, the difference that my team was making. And what's really amazing is the clients that you're helping really appreciate this because, if you have a good realtor, you don't want to change. That's why if people have a good realtor, they work with them over and over and over because it's a pain in the butt to go find a new realtor or a new doctor or a new dentist. Absolutely. Or a new mechanic. If you've got one you like and you trust, you really stick with them. And if you can find a good agent when you're ready to retire that you think will do a good job and has good character and ethics and good experience and knows what they're doing, I can't tell you how much the clients will appreciate that you made sure there was someone for them to call in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so cool how that whole story happened. So can you tell me a little bit about some of the mistakes that people make? And you mentioned a little bit, Renee hired the wrong person, but what are some other mistakes that people make when choosing an adopting agent, somebody that they're going to give their business off to?
Sure. I would say, I talk a lot about this in the book, but some of the big ones are, I think a lot of people think that they can just have their assistant take over because they already kind of know the business and they know the clients. But if your assistant isn't selling, it's a very different thing. And most people in real estate who want to be transaction coordinators or assistants or support role, they do that because they want to get a salary every month, whether you sell something or not. And so if you're going to pick that person, you need to make sure you put them in a sales role first, and then you'll need to help them get as an assistant. Because if you have enough business to need an assistant, then they're going to need someone to help them. And you want to make sure that they're doing their job as a salesperson and as a broker and not just burying their head in the paperwork and not calling anyone. A lot of times people will hire a friend, and that can work if the friend takes it seriously. But I think in real estate, you see it a lot where people will work with a broker who's a friend or family member, and then they'll end up frustrated if it doesn't go well, that they don't feel like they're taking it as seriously and they're not getting the same service because you've got such a good relationship that maybe they're not doing the follow-ups and they're not being as formal about it. And, when you're buying or selling a house, it's a lot of money. It's a big deal. And you want someone to take it seriously. And then I would say, the biggest mistake people make is they don't hire anyone. And if you don't do that, your clients have to start all over. Once they know you're retired, they're not going to call you. You're not going to get a bunch of people calling you to get referrals. They're going to they already have another agent they know. They probably have 5 other agents they know. And if they don't, their friends do. And so you have to have someone that's going to be proactive. You can't sit back and hope you'll get referral fees because people like you. You have to make sure someone's doing the work of a realtor. So making calling them, stay in touch, sending them updates on the market, and staying engaged.
Yeah. When I read your book, I was so impressed with the fact that I feel like this is just raising the bar in our industry, because I've seen it for years where I've had a doctor retire, and they send me a letter, and there's that transition, and
Yeah.
that's a really cool thing. It's a professional courtesy to do that. And to read about this in your book, I was like, this is awesome, because you and I know that it's sometimes the bar is really low to get into real estate, and all of us that are good agents are trying to raise that bar.
Right.
And this here, I think, is just something that sets people apart. It sets the retiring agent apart, and it sets the agent apart that is adopting as well, and just provides that level of professionalism. Do you see that a lot?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the people that I see that are excited about this idea and that are implementing it all over the place are really the people that are the professionals in the business that want to work by referral. And if you
Mhm.
want to work by referral, by default, you have to do a great job or it doesn't work. You can't trick people into referring you. They have to trust you, and they have to like you, and they have to know that when they refer you, you're going to do a good job and that you have, competence and character, not just one or the other. You can't just be really good at your job but not be ethical, and you can't be a really great guy or gal but not be able to do your job. So
Mhm.
that's what referrals are based on, because every time anyone refers you, whether it's a vendor or a client, they're saying, I trust this person and I'm willing to put my name on the line for them. And so it's a huge, you have to be good for this to work. You can't be, like I said, you have to be competent and you have to have a high level of character, or the system doesn't work, because people can tell if you're not being real with them.
Yeah.
It's just human nature. You don't have to have a special degree or be a psychologist. I think we all know when people are being honest or if it sounds like they're being salesy. I mean, that's why there's a word for it.
Yeah.
And if you are doing that, I think you are raising the bar, and you are elevating the level of professionalism. And that's something that's very important to me, because I mean, there's nothing about being a professional that doesn't help you with your business.
Yeah.
And to cut corners for the short term is just a huge mistake. And in the long run, you make more money anyway just by doing the right thing. So it's always foolish to me when I see people do that for a quick gain.
Yeah.
You might lose a deal here or there in the interim or in the short
Mhm.
term, but over a long time career, it gives you such a better career, and your clients are happier, and everyone wins more.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you are just joining us here in the webinar, my name is Shelley Frody from City to Shore. Welcome. We're glad you are joining us today. Just want to mention that our next Discovery Day event is going to be on March 27th, and it will be in Kalamazoo. So for all your agents that are down there in Kalamazoo, we'll be in your neighborhood, and there's more details on that to come. And then this morning I have Nick Krautter. He's from Portland, Oregon, and he wrote a book called The Golden Handoff, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about retiring agents and what do they do when they're thinking about retiring and getting out of the business. So we've had some great discussion so far. Let's get back to that. So
All right.
what are some of the most challenging parts of the process when you have a retiring agent that's thinking about getting out of the business, and then you have this new agent? What's the most challenging thing that happens in this process?
I think usually what I see is the biggest hurdle for both people is that a lot of agents don't have good databases. So they either don't have a database at all, or they haven't updated it regularly. So the data's a lot of times out of date. Different people have moved, they've got different phone numbers, different email addresses, they've changed companies. So I think that's the biggest challenge, because if you have a good database, if it's current and accurate and everyone's labeled correctly and you've got the right information, then the process itself is very straightforward. It's not anything to be scared of. And it's nothing that you aren't already doing if you're doing a good job in real estate. When you take over a database and you adopt these clients, there's a series of announcements letters. Like I said, those exact letters are in the book and on the website, and you can download them and change them. I always let my retiring agents make whatever changes they want, but typically they might change a sentence or two, and the rest of it they want to just leave based on what I've already written.
Mm-hmm.
It just says, hey, I'm retiring. Nick's team's taking over. Here's a little bit about Nick. He's been in the business, this long. He's got a team. They do this much in sales. They're featured on these TV shows and this, they've been in the newspaper about talking about the real estate market, and they help this many people a year. And then they'll be staying in touch. And so it's very straightforward. But again, if you don't have that information, if you can't send the letter to the right address and you can't call the right number, then it's really, really tricky. So the good news is there's a lot of really good new tools, technology tools that help agents take a bunch of different data all over the place and put it in one spot so you can make a database. And, in the class, that's one of the things that I'll be talking about, are some of those exact tools you can implement that day if you want to take information from Facebook and your email and your phone and put it all in one spot, and then kind of sort it out so that you get the best chance of having, not forgetting people, and also having the right information when you do that transition.
Yeah. What for that retiring agent, I mean, that's a good tool, but what else could they do in preparation? Is it just sending the letter? Is there something else that they could do to ensure? Because I would imagine for a retiring agent, for them to, have the best chance possible of getting leads and referrals out of their database would be for them to do some preparation as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think I always ask the retiring agents that to call their best people, to call their A clients, the people that refer them, their anyone they've worked with recently, and just anyone they have a good relationship with. And that might be 40 people. It might be a couple hundred people. It's usually not more than 100 people. You might stay in touch with that many people, but you probably aren't in a deep relationship with more than 100 people. It's difficult, even for the biggest agents, to really do that. And so I would say, take your top 50 or your top 100 people and make sure you call them personally as the retiring agent and let them know about this plan, and give them a heads up that they're going to be getting the letter and an email, and that the other agent's going to be calling and explaining why they're doing that. And I think that could be huge. If you do that as a retiring agent, you really pave the road for that adopting agent to come in and do a great job and have that transition be as smooth as possible for both you as the agents and for your clients.
What level of involvement is there afterwards for a retiring agent?
So the retired agents can really choose how involved they want to be. Some of the people we've worked with have said, hey, once we do this letter and we do the announcement, I'm moving across the country and I don't want to answer my phone and I don't want to check my email. And so that's kind of totally done. Like I'm out, or I'm going to sail around the world, whatever it is they're doing. And so you got to make sure that you do the launch really well, and you go over the database together to make sure you understand if there's any missing information, or you kind of learn the story about the people to add to your notes so that when you call them, you have an idea of who they are. Some agents like to stay really involved. We've had people that continue to run a website, continue to write a weekly column in the newspaper or in their website or blog, and they still take calls and they still respond to emails from their website. They just don't want to be the one showing property at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday, or, taking calls at, 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning because someone's panicked about an inspection, or they're worried they're going to not get the house they love because there's multiple offers. And that's the real job. I mean, if anyone in real estate, people talk about boundaries, but the reality is clients don't care about our boundaries. They want to get the house they want, and they want to make sure everything goes smoothly, and you need to be on call. And the more you're willing to do that, the more successful you will be. And so some of those agents stay more involved. I think that's, if they want to do that can make it more successful, because you have an extra person helping you do lead generation and client care. And so in that case, I think it makes sense to potentially have a longer deal than 3 years if they stay involved longer than that, and to be more collaborative. So it's really up to the retired agent to decide, do I want to give up everything, all my responsibility, and be done? Or are there certain things that you really still like to do, but you want to give up the stuff you don't want to do? Like whether that's showing houses or going to inspections or, dealing with, negotiations, whatever that looks like to you, you can trade. So, hey, I'll give you all of these clients, you handle this part, but I'll still help on the calls, or also help put together the client party, or whatever it is you enjoy doing.
Yeah. Well, and especially, I know a lot of real estate agents are very relational. And I can see the agents that are retiring that are that way, that, if they're a very relational person and they've built up these relationships with clients over the years, it might be a very natural thing for them to keep doing that part of it.
Sure.
And just hand the deal off, per se, when it turns into something that would be more of a deal. So that's a great perspective on that. Let's talk a little bit about the adopting agent, because we've been talking a lot about the retiring agent. So
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about the adopting agent. What kind of qualities, what kind of things should an adopting agent possess to be successful at this?
Sure. That's a great question. I think the first thing, we talked about character and competence, and I think it all kind of relates to that. So in terms of competence, you want to make sure, if I could give you one thing to remember when you're picking someone as a retiring agent, you're picking your adopting agent, make sure whoever you pick is someone that you would hire to help you buy or sell a house if you weren't also an agent. So if you just remember that, again, if I would hire this person to list my house or help me buy a house, then that's a good sign you've got the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're a realtor, because you know the reality of what makes someone a good agent versus an okay agent versus a bad agent. If you never do it, it's hard to tell sometimes, because maybe you like the person and that's all you think you need. But there's a lot more to it than that. So I would say that says a little bit about competence and character. So I would say make sure that they're experienced, they know what they're doing. They need to focus on running the business, not on learning how to buy and sell. So they need to be past that. And that could be 6 months. It could be a couple years. It depends on the person. Make sure they have the resources to grow. So if they have 100 clients and you're about to give them 300 clients, they're quadrupling the size of their business overnight. So they might need to get an assistant. They are going to spend more money on marketing. They might be doing client parties, which before they were spending $500 and now that's $5,000. You need to make sure they're committed to investing in the business at the level that it needs to be to take care of your clients. The other thing is they need to have time. So if they're doing a good job handling 100 people, 400 people is a lot more. It's not linear. I mean, because it just takes a long time to have a relationship with anyone. It takes time. Because I think a lot of realtors are always looking for tricks of how do I stay in touch without having to spend time on it. And the reality is the things that work because you're respectful enough to either write a note and to make a phone call, or to meet in person and have a lunch or a happy hour or coffee, or to spend time at a client party or a class you're teaching with your clients. The more time you spend with people, the more you invest in that relationship. And there's only so much time we have, and we still have to go help people buy and sell and negotiate and do market research. There's a lot of other stuff we have to do. So I'd say make sure they have competence, make sure they have a good character. So again, they're ethical. One thing I see a lot of agents get hung up on is they believe that they're so unique and their relationship is so special. They have this deep love connection with their clients that they don't believe that anyone else could possibly do the job that they do for their people.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. It's true that it's not going to be exactly the same. But if you walk across the street and get hit by a bus, your clients are going to all figure out how to move the next time. I mean, we're all replaceable. Everyone, no matter the best agent in the country, if they decide to do something different, or they die or resign or retire or move across the world, their clients will find a way to move the next time without their help. And so while it's good that you find someone that has good energy and hopefully they're similar, they would make it easier. It doesn't have to be a copy of you, because there's no copy of you. All of us are different and unique. The thing to remember is the best agents are good at dealing with different personality types, right? There's 4 major personality types of our clients. You've got your engineers, you've got your socialites, you've got, your hard charging CEO people, and you've got your kind of quiet rule followers. And all of us who are in real estate are good at learning how to communicate how to tune our communication to our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So just because maybe, I'm very high I and D, if you know the DISC profile, so social and driving.
Yeah.
I know some very good agents that are very high S and C. They're much more kind of background people. They're very quiet. They take their time with people. And while our personalities are different, I know that they can adjust to the clients just like I can adjust to the clients. And so remember that that's more important than finding someone that looks and talks and sounds just like you. Because I think sometimes people don't find an agent to take over because they're worried it won't be a good enough fit. And if you do that, your clients are going to just pick random people. And, but odds are half your clients are going to pick an agent that's not as experienced or not as good or not as ethical as the person you're going to pick for them to talk to. And so just remember that you're really helping your clients too. This isn't just about making more money for you. That will happen if you do it right. And it can be substantial. The best deal we've done, the retiring agent made $50,000 in referral fees in 1 year.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
They use that as a down payment on a house. So that the numbers can be pretty substantial. And that wasn't even a huge business. We haven't taken over a mega agent business yet. That was, I think, a $6 to $8 million a year business. And we ran it at the same level they're running it. So we did, I think, 160 in income on that business in 1 year. And so, yeah, the numbers are worthwhile, but remember it's for your clients as well. And it's worth it to take the time to pick someone that's going to do a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. For a newer agent, do you see this as a great way to build a sustainable long-term income? I know so many times agents get into the business, they're learning the business, and they always want to do the next bright, shiny new thing. You get all these phone calls, hey, we'll sell you this lead
Right.
or that lead generating thing. What do you see as being a better option? Going this route and adapting a whole database, or going the technology route per se?
Well, I think it really depends on kind of your goals as an agent. I think that the kind of red hot right now business is the stuff that's the sexiest for real estate agents. It's the lead of the buyer that wants to buy right now or the seller that wants to sell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's much easier to deal with. You just go be a realtor, and that makes life easy. You just help them price the house and market it, or you help someone look for the home and put it in contract. I think it can be good to do both of those things. And I'll say this, if you have an opportunity to take over a larger business that is a repeat and referral based business, and I would say anything over 50% of the business repeat and referral is pretty strong relationship. And if you can go from, say, a newer agent with 50 clients and like 100 leads, and go to 400 past clients overnight, if you do a good job staying in touch with those people, it'll be way more worth your time than buying leads or, cold calling people that don't know you.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to be more fun, and it's going to be a better experience for you and your clients. I don't think it's a problem, though, to do both of those things. So when I started out in Portland, I didn't know that many people. I was new to Oregon, I was new to Portland, and I was new to real estate.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of open houses, which for me, I think that's a great way to meet people and talk about real estate while you're actually in person at a house. So that's a very kind of obvious thing, but it's different than talking on the phone or door knocking or cold calling, because the people are coming to you and you're in your environment. So I think absolutely, and your agent should look at this as a way to grow their business. And as they're building those relationships with the retiring agents, a lot of them are going to take time. People don't retire overnight. So you might be talking to someone and taking over part of their business where they say, hey, I'm going to take care of my past clients, but all these leads that come in and sign calls, and you can do the open houses, I don't want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference I've seen since the book came out, and this isn't in the book, is the idea of a partial release or a partial handoff, where a retiring agent, they like the idea of retiring, but they don't want to get 100% out of the business. They just want to give up certain things they don't like, or focus on the things that they really love, and let someone else do the other things that are still important, but it's not their goal and focus. Mm-hmm. And so if you can find people that are looking to give up the stuff they don't like and be there to take that on as a newer agent, take on that harder work and the kind of the stuff that's nights and weekends and more stressful, it's a great way to grow your business and to build your book of business and to make more money while you're helping that retiring agent. And then when they're finally ready to be 100% done, you're going to be the natural person that's going to take over the past clients and the really A+ people that they've been working with. So I think don't look for people that are leaving town or getting into the other industries or retiring in a traditional sense, but also reach out to people that have big businesses and say, is there a part of your business you don't enjoy? Is there a certain like part of town where you're really good over here on the east side, but the west side has never been really your sweet spot and you don't understand it as well? Could I take that and take care of those people and let you focus on the part you're good at and that you enjoy? I think there's a lot of opportunity to take over and get referrals of a big part of someone's business even before they're ready to fully retire.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's more of a collaboration. I think so many times in this business, we're very competitive, and there's that competitive, mean nature sometimes that can go on. And I just love this where people can work together. So we are at the end, Nick. This was awesome having you on this morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great to be here.
Nick actually joined us on vacation. He's down in Florida right now. So I thank you for joining us this morning. That was awesome. And we'll get him here in town, and you guys can learn a whole lot more from him when he comes later in the summer. So thanks again, Nick. You have a great day and have a nice rest of your vacation. And we'll see everybody next week. So
thank you
so much.